Hey everybody, this is Steve with Three Fat Truckers. We're sitting here at the Crossroads of America Trucking Show and the Expedite Expo this year at Fort Wayne Coliseum. Got my two buddies, best show hosts I got here with me. Got Dave and Bill. How we doing, boys?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Living it up on the show.
There we go.
Dream.
Well, we've always talked about trying to get somebody from Johnny Law track down and get them on the show and be able to quiz them on a few things here. And we got a 2-for-1 today.
That's right.
We have Officer Mr. Jay Ward from the Indiana State Police and the Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division. How we doing today, sir?
Good.
Glad to have you. Hey, truckers always have all sorts of questions, especially when it comes to the Commercial Vehicle Division that you partake in. What are the most...
Partake in. Like puff, puff, pass.
Puff, puff,
Hoping
pass.
I don't
No,
have a
no,
commercial truck.
no.
He needs a shirt that just says, shut down. You're shut down.
What are a lot of the infractions that you see regularly that should be addressed pretty?
stuff.
Yeah, the guys just need to start
Stuff you'd like guys to
pick
pay a little
up
bit
and
better
yeah,
attention to.
Well, the biggest thing is just plain out load securement. I mean, guys are just so lazy anymore about wanting to strap something down properly. They throw it on quickly. I'm only running across town. I'm not going very far.
Oh
They
yeah.
don't think about the consequences of when that thing comes
Well,
off.
We've
And
all
with-
seen it.
Well, yeah, with social media, you see all sorts of pictures on TikTok and Facebook where somebody has one chain on a 60,000-pound coil and they're just going around the corner or something, and it rolls off the truck
I
or
seen a strap on sand the other day. I thought that was rather entertaining.
oh yeah.
Well,
And I used to
little
have
flat trailer.
equipment, and I'd see guys run straps across like a bulldozer,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "What are you
That's
doing?"
almost as bad as the beams coming out of SDI.
Well, we had that one guy here.
Guys run like
I don't know,
four
was it a year or
straps
so
on it.
ago.
Like, seriously, guys? It,
With
Had
the wedge
all them-
protection
yeah,
to
well,
go with it.
nothing's
Well, and
going
they
to
had
dig
'em-
into the metal to stop
That
it.
one had them all come through the cab. That
Yeah.
one young kid,
Yeah, so
and I think he might have chains on him, but he only had
All
what
those straight
maybe.
trucks after they're done.
Oh yes, yes.
so has speeding become a big problem? Has it got any better on the?
You know, Indiana's kind of gotten this. I don't know what you want to call it. Truckers are afraid to speed in Indiana, predominantly because they all say that we pick on everybody at 5 and 6 mile an hour over the posted speed limit.
Yeah.
So Indiana kind of has a reputation of being one of the harder states to get caught
Sure.
Well,
speeding.
see, I don't think. I think Indiana, but I don't.
Well,
that doesn't apply to
the
passenger.
thing is, the
Yeah.
company that you work for and that I used to
I
work
know.
for, you get paid by the
paid
hour.
by the hour,
When
so
you're
I ain't no hurry.
speeding, you're robbing
I
yourself
get
of
paid by
money.
the hour too.
Yeah, and that's the best thing about
Them Michigan
that
cars,
job.
boom, right by you.
Oh yeah.
Well, a lot of carriers can only run about 65 miles.
Well, and then they're getting ready to.
It's good because the trailers are going 70. So I
oh,
don't know.
well.
Yeah, it's pushing them. But they're coming
That's
up
pretty
now.
efficient, actually.
They're trying to pass the new
before the
laws and
drivers.
stuff across the board, across the whole country for these governors of speed limiters on trucks and keeping everybody to one speed and not over. What do you think about
The
that?
problem is you go out west and the speeds are a lot higher than they are here. So
They are. I drive.
So if you're an
coast to
over
coast.
if you're an over the road guy and your limiter is set at 77 because you're out west, you come to Indiana, the fastest you're going to go is 65.
Yep.
right.
You're 12 over the posted speed limit. That's almost a major moving violation.
And then you go out to Nevada or Utah, it's 80.
Yeah.
All the way across.
Yep.
It's 80 mile an hour. And then I get to California and it's 55.
Only if you have a new enough truck and it passes the regulations.
Well, and then
Yeah, I can't even go out there.
I know what my thought is on this. What do you think about split speed limits?
I am.
You can have your opinion without getting in trouble.
No, in this case, I'm going to tell you the law says 65. 'cause
Sure.
That's what some
Right.
people smarter than me have said that it's going to be. So we're going
Sure.
to. Do I agree that cars
When they're
catch
coming
trucks
up,
faster?
oh yeah, 10 mile an hour
They
different.
do.
Yeah.
Well, it should only be 5.
Oh no, you know they run.
By
It's
law,
the
though, they're
motorci-
only going 5.
It's the motorcycles that not only do they go by me too fast, they come by me and scare the living crap out of you.
Motorcycle flying, yeah.
Because you don't see them back there, and then all of a sudden
Oh, and
you
they
got
cut you off just like the
wrong,
cars do.
and then your heart
Yeah.
sinks down.
Sure.
So
That one's
we
a tough one to answer because
Sure.
there's studies and stuff done, and those people are
Well,
doing them for a reason.
I know Ohio finally switched.
Well, and years ago,
Michigan
like in
hasn't yet.
Texas, there was a speed limit for semis daytime and nighttime
You had to have
because supposedly you outdrove your
signs.
lights at a certain speed.
Right.
Well, now it's fast day and night across the board.
Nebraska that way too. Nebraska didn't have a speed limit in the daylight for cars.
That was
Montana, I think.
Montana.
Yeah.
I knew it was one of those states.
Well,
Texas, a 2-lane road in Texas
Is 70.
75.
Yeah.
I was
As long as there's a paved shoulder, because down there in Texas, if you see somebody come up on you, they automatically get the shoulder and let you blow by, and they come back out behind you.
Yeah.
in
why
Texas
the
and
shoulders are
Ohio
big.
were the two
I mean,
last
paying attention
places.
enough to do that.
Usually they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it amazes me. Texas still got them nice little roadside park where you can pull off. You can, little grill sitting there, picnic tables.
Yeah, he's all about the food.
Hey, we're
and a
not
little
that
taco
truckers
trailer.
for a
Yeah,
reason.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Well, we talked about this a little bit before we got on the recording here. Give us a couple good stories on the best excuses to get out of a ticket, whether it be speeding or commercial violation or something.
My
something
dad's a
something
cop,
good.
can I go?
Yeah, something's a funny, or is
I
it
ate
is
my
it the
keys.
the
No.
one you don't know who I am, do you?
So
That one don't work, does it?
I've had.
Have you had that one?
Love
Okay.
that.
Was that the mayor before? I mean, I'm sorry, restrike that.
I really got to watch that one because I had a guy.
We don't
one
want to
day-
get you in
I
trouble.
had a guy one day. He's a habitual traffic violator, so it's a felony for him to drive at
Sure.
all. And his 6-month pregnant girlfriend was in the passenger seat, and he claimed she was going into labor.
okay.
So
Did you follow him to the hospital?
no, I called him an EMS
That cost him.
because again, we're too far away. She goes into labor.
Sure.
I can't. I don't want to deliver
That's a
the
good
baby.
idea.
So then I followed him there, found out she wasn't. Then I took him to jail.
And
What,
he had an
what
ambulance.
a hard ass.
I waited for the doctor to tell
Sure.
me she wasn't going.
Of
to labor.
course, of course.
They got to
But
learn, Steve.
that one was definitely the. I mean, he played it all the way to the hospital.
Did he? And he was scared and afraid for everything.
No,
and-
he was. I'm gonna have a baby. I'm gonna have a baby.
Oh. Did he give you a cigar? They don't
No.
do that anymore, do
No.
they?
No, it's gum now.
Gum,
She
yeah,
wasn't in labor, though. You
Oh,
only get
gotcha.
the
She
cigar
wasn't in
when
labor,
baby was
yeah.
born,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
That
free.
was-
So that would be the
I
be
like
the worst one.
I like the ambulance.
bad.
Any
You got a
funny,
bill?
really funny ones?
Uh,
Normally,
You don't get nobody
ones I
pull
when
you
I
over
talk
and
to other
say, "'Cause I
officers,
got
that's
donuts
always
in the back
I got to
seat."
go to the bathroom real bad. I got to do
hear-
number
I
You hear
two.
that a lot, and a lot of times I'll go, all right, we're going to pee, and I'll come back out, and I'll write you a ticket on your way back out.
I always say because I can't hear you at 60 mile an hour, roll the window down.
I just
mean-
tell them it's because I didn't see you sitting there.
You know, and you hear all the jokes. Well, I thought you were bringing my wife back to me.
Yeah. I was running. I was trying to get away.
Like if you pull me over and it's pouring down rain, you walk up and ask me why I was speeding. I don't know you. No, you asked me. I screwed it up.
Can't
You
remember how
ruined
goes.
it.
Screwed it up. I screwed it up.
I promise you this: if you make me get wet, you're probably getting a
You're
ticket.
getting a dick.
That's the best time
no.
to speed then.
No,
isn't
you
it?
know
No,
why
it's
I
not.
pulled
'cause
you
You know
over.
you're getting a ticket.
Do you know why I pulled you over?
Why?
Yeah. Do you know why I was speeding?
Yeah. Yeah, you turn the question to them.
Yeah.
You know why I was speeding? Same question.
See, because I can edit this and make myself sound funny.
Yeah.
Edit all
Well,
that.
you're not.
But see, I can't edit this anymore.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're on
Oh,
camera
dog
already.
on it. Yeah, but this is going on YouTube.
Well, so does that if you screw up enough.
So, a couple more. What other things besides load securement these guys need to start picking up on?
You know that's a big one. Vehicle maintenance, since we're post-COVID now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if shops are short mechanics. If there's short mechanics in the world,
Brake adjustment, stuff like that. Is that still a big thing anymore?
Oh, yeah.
Everything pretty much auto adjusts itself now.
no,
Most
it doesn't.
well, it's supposed to.
If it's
But,
made by
yeah.
man, it will fail.
Well, true.
So I run about a 60% out of service rate when I do a level 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 6 out of 10 trucks I'm not letting go afterwards. So that just tells me that the maintenance is down. Now part of that is parts. You know, you talk
You
about
can't get-
you
right.
talk about being short mechanics, but you're also short on parts.
Chips.
So the truck
Pickup sitting everywhere.
Let's pick up.
the owner operator can't let his truck sit for weeks at a time waiting on
Sure.
a part because he's got a payment to make.
Well, it's funny you say that because we interviewed a guy down in Louisville at the truck show, and this company is a lawyer that fights with insurance companies. Oh, she's
Is
here?
she? Yeah.
And fights with insurance companies because
To
when
get the
they can't
drivers
get their,
paid while their trucks
while
are
they're
down.
down. Yeah, because that is
Yeah.
so.
And it's
they-
the only one in the country that does it.
Can they qualify for AFLAC?
It's almost it's almost like that.
It's almost like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's here. Huh?
So-
Cool.
But again, I mean I think maintenance on the trucks has gone down. Now we're into the ELDs.
Yeah. Question about those.
Oh, hold on.
These guys know because I don't work there no more. But when we did, they would lock up, freeze up, disconnect from the
Garbage.
their Bluetooth. to a
Okay,
tablet.
get
So, so
and
they
there's
are better.
so many
because
problems with them.
They've gone from 3G to 4G and 5G. The generations are getting
better.
better. The problem is not only are they getting better, but now truck drivers are figuring out how to manipulate them. So
No.
now we find ghost drivers, or we find, hey, I dropped my co-driver off 2 cities ago,
Okay.
or
This is the
I
question.
spelled my name John on this name, and I spell it Jon on this name.
These guys
Never thought of
aren't
that.
thinking about this, but I want to know the details. Personal conveyance. Give it to me, brother. What are the qualifications where you can use that and it's legal?
So they
And
changed.
what are the
Changes.
rules?
They changed the rules
Okay.
a little over a year ago that says that you can now be loaded, so you can now be laden and still get personal conveyance.
But where can you and can't go with it?
Here's the big keys to personal conveyance. If you're furthering your load during personal
Advancement?
conveyance,
Advancing.
you're in violation. Now,
What if
if-
that
if you-
advancing
if you
is
go-
going
if you
towards
go-
my house,
If
though?
you go 10 minutes towards your house and it's close, that's where you're going, that's an authorized use of personal conveyance. It's when you drive an hour. Well, and you know what? Let me back that up because the regulation doesn't give a distance.
Or a time.
But it's a reasonable amount. I mean, let's face it. We're not going to let you drive from San Francisco to New York on
but
PC.
what-
No,
say I'm in Texas.
down here on down here in 69 at the rest area at the 250, and we run out hours right there.
You ran out of hours, and now you want to switch to PC?
Yes.
That's a violation.
Okay.
Because now you're circumventing the hours.
Okay.
You've intentionally.
Even though I've went on my own personal
it doesn't
time
matter. You're-
to drive my
Okay, let's-
personal vehicle home,
you're only doing
does it work that way?
circumvent. So now
Yeah.
not only is you a violation of PC, but now you're false log.
So you had the intention of parking in the rest area
Okay.
when you
At
when
what
you
hour
ran-
mark? At 10 hours and 58 minutes, or
Yeah.
at 10 hours?
Is that not a gray area though at all, or
That's why we're asking.
Well, what's gray to you is black and white to me, but that's
well, because when
If-
we are optimizing when we are planning our day, we're planning the amount of time that we're putting into our day, with all the free radicals and variables that we have to deal with. You know, we're trying to
Construction,
maximize
traffic,
what we're getting out of the time that we're allowed to use. So
accidents.
we know in our heads that we can make it to that rest area at the 250.
pending traffic, pending
Right, but
anything
within-
else. So that's
The amount of time that we have legally to drive, we get there, there's no parking. The next exit with a truck stop is well outside of the amount of time that we have to drive.
Pretty much 28 miles, 278. The next truck stop.
And then that's
Warren.
very likely that's full as well, you know.
All
Is it
so where-
discretion of the officer? Okay.
it's a great.
you know, without having the
it's
federal
great.
regulation book and being able to read the interpretations to you, because there
Well-
are interpretations for this. And if you go to FMCSA's webpage, it specifically has PC
Right.
guidance.
I
on how to
asked
do that.
about this one time, and I said, I'm in Texas,
It's
I'm
just
loaded.
worded so vaguely.
I'm in Texas, I'm loaded.
A lot of
and
the
I
federal
said,
rules are.
I quit. I'm not driving truck for this company. And I go on PC, and I can stay on PC from there all the way to my driveway. Get out of that truck and get out and say you're screwed. Now, I still have to follow the rules if I'm tired of driving drowsy.
Correct.
I still have to take the break and rest. But I can drive from Texas or California as long as I take it to my property
long as you're
and I'm
quitting?
done.
Well, because
He's quitting.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
You know how many times we hear that?
Well, no, but
At
this is.
$4 a gallon and 4 miles per gallon. So
Yeah. Damn, that was a good ride. Mine gets 5.
it's expensive.
Mine got 8.
Was the wind behind you?
It was an 800 horse.
Well, they don't have that with DEF anymore. So
It didn't have def.
I know.
It was a glider.
But so,
so-
that clears up a
So
lot.
for
of
me to answer
seen that
PC,
one.
yeah.
That was mine.
So for PC, the biggest thing I can tell you, you can use it to go get food. You can take it to lodging facilities. It has to be reasonable, though. I mean, you can't say that I'm going to go to Indianapolis and there be 19 exits in between there.
Right.
But
and
you want to
not
eat
take-
at another
and
restaurant.
you not take one of those. I mean,
So whether or not something's reasonable is
that's how the officer's probably going to enforce it. Now, again, I'm speaking for everybody in a very vague term.
Right.
And I hate to do that, but that's
Sure.
But
well,
you-
there is
but
some
you have to.
vagary. I feel like there's
There is.
vagary built
But
into it on
I'm,
purpose.
There is.
I'm glad that you explained more to us about it because
And then we got a
between
lot of
him, and me,
So
we
much
all have our own
disagreement.
interpretation
yeah,
of what it
and
means.
Now,
Get it?
now we have
So, yeah.
and we have people listening.
Oh yeah,
to these aspects.
that, and there's
I
been lots
get
of
it.
people. You know, well, you can't do this. Well, no, you can't do this. Well, you can't advance the load. Well, you got to be bobtail. You got to be this. I mean,
the easiest way that I tell guys is you can go back to your home terminal. Once it's at its home terminal and you're released for the day, anything
you're
you
no,
do outside
you're
of
no
that is now
longer
PC.
liable for the load
Right.
or
So now you
anything.
can drive home, and then the next day you can drive back to work, and now pick up at your shipper again, which is your place. As long as you're starting and stopping there, anything outside of that is going to be authorized under
Okay,
PC.
I got one more question.
Because it's like driving your personal car to work.
Sure.
right.
We don't ding you for that.
You don't get penalized.
Because I've done that. I've been down to Joplin coming back from California. I can't make it. So I always stop in Joplin. And I've dropped my trailer and went to Bass Pro Shop. And, I just turned it on PC. And I drove up to Springfield to Bass Pro. I drove over to.
And you bought a bunch of stuff, too.
did. You did.
Joplin and Springfield aren't exactly right next to
No,
each other either.
No,
I used
but
to
I
live in
didn't-
But
Oklahoma
he's
City.
shopping.
I
You have to
dropped
remember
my
he's
trailer
shopping.
There.
No, I get it.
Yeah, and I'm running around. And I went to a steakhouse somewhere. And it's like,
I think the reason it confuses people, or the reason, at least
but
in
I was
my
on a
case,
34-hour break, too. So.
the reason it confuses people is because what is the difference fundamentally? Because the whole point behind any of these regulations is to provide a baseline to enforce these laws to be safe on the road, and making sure that drivers are getting the proper amount of rest is part of that
Absolutely.
narrative. So what's the difference between the driving I do that I'm getting paid for, where I'm not PC'd, and the driving I do when I am under PC? What is fundamentally the difference, safety-wise, between those?
So as an enforcement officer, I'm going to plead the fifth on this one.
Government.
I definitely understand what you're saying on that, because again, you're behind the wheel the same amount of time.
Yeah.
I get it. Unfortunately, I don't write the rules.
You just enforce
Somebody
them, yeah.
somebody out there
I
has
think that's
determined this
just
is
why
what it
it's
is.
confused people.
I
That's why
agree.
there's so much contention around it.
Well, hey, Officer
So,
Ward.
Can I
Go ahead.
cover
go
one
ahead.
thing
Yep,
before
right
we
ahead.
go?
Yeah.
House Bill 1050. How many of your viewers have paid attention to House Bill 1050? That went into effect July the 1st.
It did, and what is that? Give us a
Talks
lowdown.
about the new weight laws, and it talks about the new civil penalties that Department of Revenue will send behind. So if you're over width or over height, Department of Revenue has the ability to send a civil penalty to the company. So rather I write a ticket or a warning to the driver on the roadside on the inspection, they have the ability on the backside to send the company. So they have a fine schedule, and it's in this House
So they
bill.
can double dip
all,
now.
All of my officers, I don't want to use that term
But
because
it sounds like that, though.
their answer is we're taking enforcement to the driver, they're taking enforcement
Well-
to the company. So their answer to this is the company should have gotten a permit. Since they didn't get the permit, this is the civil
Okay.
penalty that goes with it.
This would be handed down by the jurisdiction that
Indiana Department of Revenue. This is for an Indiana-based violation.
Company.
Department
So
of Revenue.
if you're overweight between a pound and $24.99, it's $500. $2,500 to $5,000 is $1,000. Anything over that's $5,000.
Now, far as you don't
So-
want to call it double dipping, that was
can't.
sort of a thing in Tennessee when they used to have, and it's not so much that anymore. They had where semis were set at 55 mile an hour around Knoxville, all in town and out of
Speeder
town.
law?
They got a ticket for, if you got pulled over, you got a ticket for speeding. But you also, the reason why they had the speed of that was emissions. Supposedly, you would get a ticket from the EPA also
Oh,
for polluting. Oh, because you're
Well,
putting out more. Yeah, they were
Bottom
double
line
dipping.
on this is government and collecting revenue. That's all it is.
Well,
It's all about money.
here's one thing the government did do for the trucking industry this year. So for triaxles and quad axle dump trucks,
Yes.
if they're hauling in aggregate, and it does apply to semis too, if you have a semi dump
trailer.
bed, anybody carrying an aggregate, they still have to be legal weight, but they're now giving them a 10% allowance on their tandem axles. So instead of 34,000 pounds, they're getting 37,400,
Well, we used to have a.
It's still got to be under 80,000 for.
or 73,280 if it's a quad, or 68,000 if
We've
it's a
got
tri.
triaxle.
We used to. There used to be a regulation, I believe it was, that refuge haulers got to go over and above.
Refuse still gets over and above
Right.
for
As
tandem.
long as you're not on federal highways, you can't be on 76.
Can't be on the interstate,
gotta
can't be on a
two-
bridge.
Right. But that's like a triaxle. A triaxle, I believe. No, it's four axle.
Refuse truck?
Quad refuse truck could haul 80,000.
I'd have to go back to look at that, but they're allowed. Normal truck gets 34,000 on tandem
Right.
group. Refuse truck gets 42,000 on
Right.
tandem group.
So
So they get a little extra. So that refuse truck, no, because it's not an aggregate. So as long as they're hauling an aggregate, they get 10% as long as they're still legal weight. Because let's face it, they're going to rock quarries and they're filling them up with 68,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no way that you can load 68,000 pounds on that truck and with the
And
load
get it, yeah.
and get it legal
You
on the axles.
It'd be pouring over the front of the truck.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the state did come out and they're trying to help the quad and tries with aggregates.
The only other way to do it is make them longer, and then that defeats the
Spread,
purpose.
yeah.
Yeah.
the
So
original,
there is
you
some
know.
That's some good stuff, yeah. So,
on the positive side. But those are the two big changes. And then if
Well,
you're
good.
an intra-state carrier in Indiana, you no longer have to get fuel tax.
Huh.
No longer in-state fuel tax.
They must be getting plenty from everybody else.
I knew I stepped in.
Oh, you're good. Well, hey,
Head first.
anyway, we'd like to thank you for stopping by and answering
Yeah.
some of our questions. It was really informative. So, hope you have a good day the rest of the day.
You guys as well.
Thank you, sir.
thanks for stopping by, answering a bunch of stupid questions.
Balls of-
We didn't even make you look like a fool.